Hi all, welcome back to Oops with C++ session 36. In previous session we have seen the shallow copy provided by the compiler provided copy constructor, and also we have discussed what do you mean by shallow copy, why it is the problem, when it is the problem, and what is the problem with the compiler provided copy constructor, and what is the syntax we have to follow. And all these things we have discussed it in session 35. And let's focus on deep copy done by the user defined copy constructor. Okay, so if you have not watched session 35, please watch it before watching 36. Okay, so now um, user defined copy constructor, we have seen the problems with the shallow copy done by the compiler provided copy constructor. So to overcome that, what we have to do is a user has to provide his own copy constructor by taking care of deep copy. So shallow copy means bit by bit copy means whatever contents are there in the source object, that entire thing will be as it is copied to target object. So that thing we have to take care. So if you don't have any pointer attributes in the class, and if you are not dealing with the heap memory, then compiler provided copy constructor will do our job. But when we are talking about heap memory management inside the class, inside the object, so shallow copy done by the copy constructor will compiler provided copy constructor will create the lot of problems that we have already discussed. Now to overcome that, we have to take care of the deep copy steps in the user defined copy constructor. And also we have seen the syntax of the user defined copy constructor should match as it is to the signature of the compiler provided copy constructor. So what is the signature of the compiler provided copy constructor? That is class name, cost, class name, reference, the source object from which we are going to copy the contents to the target object. Okay, so now why we have taken const here means the source object always we want to make it as read only, and reference we have seen if you are not having reference, then again there is a recursive calls to the copy constructor. So that's the reason the because copy constructor will be called in three different scenarios. One is when you are passing the object by value to the function arguments, and when already existed object contents are copying to the newly created objects, and while returning the object by value function or by from the function. On all these three scenarios, copy constructor will be called. So to overcome, to avoid the recursive calls to the copy constructor, we are going to use reference here. Okay, so this is the compiler provided copy constructor syntax, and if you are writing your own copy constructor, then you have to follow the same syntax, then only user defined copy constructor will be invoked. Okay, so now let us see uh, some let's just discuss about one program here. So first we will observe what is the compiler provided copy constructor syntax. Okay, for that I'm just taking a small program test.cpp. I have just created class C employee and a simple constructor, parameterized constructor. So now here I'm creating class C employee object. Okay, so here it is trying to call the zero argument constructor, but we have not provided the zero argument constructor. We have seen and we have already discussed that when you are having any parameterized constructor, that is our responsibility to provide zero argument constructor also, because zero argument constructor won't be provided by the compiler if you have at least one constructor inside the class. Okay, now if you don't have this constructor, then zero argument constructor or default constructor will be provided by the compiler. It will provide the compiler will provide that, but here it won't provide the zero argument constructor because you have already one parameterized constructor. Just compile this program. Just observe. So we are getting the error here. C employee EOBJ. So what it is saying that there is no matching function for call to C employee scope C employee. Okay. Now, and also what it is saying, there are some candidate functions available, means some functions are there, some constructors, that is one constructor which is taking an integer argument. This is what we have provided, and another constructor is also there. Okay, so that is C employee scope C employee constant C employee reference. Okay, so this is nothing but copy constructor. So this is the syntax. We will discuss about this C employee double reference. This is R value thing. While discussing the advanced C++ topics, we will discuss this. Okay, so now this is the syntax. So compiler provided copy constructor syntax is C employee const C employee reference. So if you are writing your own copy constructor, then you have to write it like this only. Okay. So now what we have to do? Now let's see, write our own copy constructor, which is doing the deep copy. Sorry. Okay. So here we have a pointer attribute. This is exactly same as the previous program, but only thing is I have added the copy constructor here. Okay. So continuing with the same program. So I have one default argument constructor. This constructor will work like a zero argument constructor as well as parameterized constructor, and this constructor is the copy constructor. It is a copy constructor. Okay, so what we have to do is, whenever we are calling this object here C employee e2 equals to e1, now we have seen when during shallow copy, whatever pointer attributes this e1 is pointing, same e2 is also pointing, because both are sharing the both pointer attributes, that is emp id of e1, emp id of e2, both are sharing the same memory location. Okay, that is because of shallow copy. Now what we have to do is, we have to avoid what problem we are facing there. Because of shallow copy, same memory location is shared. Now what we have to do is, instead of sharing the same memory location, we have to create a separate memory location. So that is a simple task. So now C employee E2. Now what we are doing is, for EMP ID, EMP ID is nothing but this is whose employee EMP ID. So this is invoking object. Who is invoking here? This is for E2. For E2 EMP ID, separate memory location will be allocated in heap segment. Once it is allocated, we are initializing that EMP ID with source object. What is source here? Source is nothing but E1. So E1's employee ID content, whatever is there, that we are assigning here. Okay. So previously both are pointing to the same memory location. Now what we are doing is, we are making for E1 employee ID also we are creating separate memory location. For E2 employee ID also we are creating separate memory location. Now E1 is having his own EMP ID, E2 is having his own EMP ID. So currently both are having 100, because E1 is having 100, so E2 is also having 100. So what we are doing is, after that we are trying to modify the E2 employee ID. E2 employee ID we are changing into 111. Later E1 dot display, E2 dot display. So in the previous session with the shallow copy we have seen, what we'll do is, I will just comment it. Now here it will call the zero argument, default copy constructor, which is going to do shallow copy. So just observe what is the problem with the shallow copy once again. Okay. So here inside constructor it is called employee ID triple one, employee ID triple one, inside destructor. So here abnormal termination of your program aborted. So program got aborted. Okay. So why it is happening? We have already discussed it in previous session. Just a glimpse on this. So here I have modified E2 employee ID. But even if I have modified E2 employee ID, it is modified for E1 also. And I am trying to display E1 dot display, E2 dot display. So it is Since both are sharing the same memory location, e1 dot display, e2 dot display, both will return 100 only. Sorry, 11 triple one only. And after that, double free corruption. So I have explained it nicely in the previous session. Please go through this shallow copy problem. So here abnormal termination called. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I am providing the copy constructor. Okay. Not use default copy constructor. Now what I want is I want my program to use my own copy constructor. Okay. So now let's see what is happening here. Now see. So first inside copy constructor, inside constructor, same here and here. Okay. So later what is happening when I say C employee E2 equals to E1. So there copy constructor is called. Now EMP ID. So after that I have modified EMP ID to triple one, E2 CMP ID to triple one and triple one. So in shallow copy, since both are sharing the same memory location, EMP ID is modified for both. And here we have separate memory location for E1 and E2's employee ID. So only E2 employee ID is modified. And also you can see destructor for E2, destructor for E1. And there is no abnormal termination for this. Okay. So this is how the deep copy will work. Now just analyze this program little bit more. Okay. So this is the program. So int star emp id, int id equals to 100, emp id equals to new int id. Okay, display function, destructor, and so here is my copy constructor. Now let's analyze step by step here. When I say C employee even, so for timing now take two memories, stack memory and heap segment memory. Okay, just consider this. We have two memory segments, stack memory and heap segments. So the first line in the main, I am executing C employee E1. So when I say this, what will happen? First, memory will be allocated for E1 in the stack segment and which is having a pointer attribute called EMP ID. So now once the memory allocation is done in the stack memory, then constructor will be called for this. Which constructor? So this constructor will be called and it will take the ID value as 100 because we are not passing any values here. Now what we are doing, EMP ID equals to new int of ID. So first new int, so new int means, so in heap segment, in heap segment one integer location will be created and 100 is initialized in that, and this starting address whatever is there, the 0x200, that address is there, that is assigned to, that is assigned to this employee id. Now E1's employee id is holding in heap memory location, that is 0x2000, which is having the value 100. So now the object one, that is E1 creation is completed. So what is the next step? C employee E2 equals to E1. Now again, so first memory will be allocated for E2 object. Okay, so EMP ID is created. E2 is also having EMP ID. Now what I am doing is I'm copying E1 contents. So E1 is the source here. So E1 is copied to E2. So now here SRC is referring to E1. And who is invoking the copy constructor? Always the target object will invoke the copy constructor. Okay. So target object is E2, source object is E1. So so source object will be passed as a reference to the argument. Now SRC or E1 both are same now. So now EMP ID equals to new int. So whose EMP ID it is? That is target's EMP ID. Who is target here? E2. So for E2 EMP ID, we are allocating memory in the heap segment. Okay. So memory is allocated, and after that what we are doing, star EMP ID equals to star source EMP ID. So whatever is there here, that is copied. Okay. So the same contents will be copied to this one, right? So now Once it is copied, this address whatever is the 0x2200 2200, that will be given to this emp id. So that is the completion of copy constructor. So what we are doing in copy constructor, for the source object also we are creating a separate memory location, and only the value whatever is there in this pointers memory, whatever is there this value, that value we are copying. Okay, so not the address, so this value will be copied to this. Okay, now e1's emp id is also having separate memory location, e2's emp id is also having separate memory location. So in case of shallow copy, this one e1 emp id, e2 emp id, both are referring to the same memory location. Now this is not there, so this is what we call it as deep copy. Okay, now after that what I am doing, the third step, that is e2 dot star e2 dot empid. E2 empid we are trying to modify. Where is E2 empid? It is present here. So this value we are modifying to 111. So the value is changed to 111. Now when I say e1 dot display, so e1 dot display, in display what is there? We are displaying the emp id. So e1 emp id is 100, 100 will be displayed here. E2 emp id 111, that is 111 will be displayed here. So no problem. Now return 0. When I say return 0, what will happen? The objects, whatever objects are getting created in this stack memory, in this stack, so that will be deleted. So first come first, last out, or last in first out. So last in is E2. So first E2 will be destroyed, then E1. Before going the object, before the object is going to destroy, destructor will be called. So what is there in destructor? In destructor we are checking if employee id, means if employee id is holding a valid memory heap memory, then delete that and assign it to null. Okay, so if emp id is holding the valid memory location, yes it is holding, now delete this memory location. Okay, so delete this memory location. Okay, so once the memory location is deleted, then the object will be removed from the stack memory. So once the destructor operation is completed, then the object is removed. So now no problem here. So now again, so here also, now even object is going to destroy. When even object is going to destroy, again same thing, destructor will be called for even also. First destructor option, delete emp id. So where it is referring emp id, it is referring to 0x2000. So 0x2000 memory location will be removed from the heap segment. So after that the object will be removed from the stack memory also, and that's stack and heap will be cleared. So there is no memory leakage, there is no abnormal termination. So this is how so you can see, sorry, yeah, so you can see first inside constructor. Okay, so next copy constructor, employee id is 100, and here employee id is 111. So after that destructor is called, so there is no abnormal termination. So this is how deep copy will work, and this is how we have to write the user defined copy constructor. Okay, so if you observe here, it is almost the same as the constructor, normal constructor. Only thing is, in shallow copy both the um, source object and target object, both pointer attributes are pointing to the same memory location. But in case of deep copy, source object and target object both will refer to the different memory location, and only their value will be copied. So we have to take care of this deep copy. Okay, so that's about user defined copy constructor. Okay, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. Thank you.